You know, no one in my family has CP, but this is it's true confession of time. I grew up in a house where when I was 6, my mother got multiple sclerosis, pretty serious multiple sclerosis. She's still alive today, maybe the oldest living multiple sclerosis patient I know of, but doing okay. And my father sort of passed her in the left lane of illness at a certain point and got catastrophic Parkinson's, and their life fell apart. And I thought, you know what? I'm off the hook now. I've paid my disability dues in the family, and God or whomever had other ideas. And my wife and I have 3 children, and one of them has very, very serious autism. And if I've learned anything in this life is stuff happens, things happen, and those who suffer most are those who have these illnesses. It's even as close as some of us are to this, it's still unimaginable. But those of us who are either have these illnesses or are in these families or are very close to people who do, have different consciousness of life, I find. And I think all of you in this room have experienced the moment where someone comes into your life and they see what's what, and they have a look on their face both of sympathy and also there for the grace of God. They don't quite get it. It's very, very difficult to get other people's complications and pain, just as it is maybe sometimes to understand their families or their joy. And so I think we're duty-bound, those of us who are in this world, broadly defined, to talk about it very honestly and without embarrassment or without fear, but very directly. And it is an absolute honor to come before you and with this remarkable group. The Cerebral Palsy Foundation is an organization defined not only by its aspiration, but also by its thoughtfulness, its sensitivity. Its work ranges from the simplicity of the new Just Say Hi campaign, which we're here to celebrate, to the far more complex issues that exist after those words are said, from just pure bench science that funding has to go to the pragmatics of implementation of that science. It's extremely important work, both for the present and for the future. And this evening, I know you're going to sense just how many lives CPS work is touching, not far off in a potential future, but also for today. Its work, in many ways, is obvious, but also not so obvious. It raises questions that may not occur to everybody immediately. For example, CPF is taking on a critical issue, basic health care for women. Basic health care in today's world. What do I mean by that? I've learned that women with disabilities, for example, have a 3 times higher rate of fatality from breast cancer. Just an incidental problem. So there's another fact. 80% of medical school students graduate without ever having treated a woman with disabilities. Now it becomes a little bit more imaginable, doesn't it? Also, many doctors naturally anticipate that women who have CP will be experiencing pain of some kind. So when they do have pain, it has to be a bit more profound before it's checked out. These are problems that not everybody knows about, and not even close to every medical student coming out of medical school. So there's the added difficulty, for example, in this area, just this one area, of getting a mammogram if you have disabilities. I've seen my own mother have to cope with this machination from a wheelchair. It's near impossible if you don't have both the facilities for it and the people to help you. Everything from the trouble of transferring from a chair for an exam to many doctors' offices that aren't accessible at all, hard as that is to believe, or if they are so by definition, they're impossible to navigate. We've all been in these offices. We've all been there. So finally imagine facing all that and how much less likely you'd be to make the effort to get proper checkups, even if you knew that you should. So when you get deeper into this situation, it becomes not only imaginable, but somehow something that should be anticipated. This past year, CPF began an initiative to change all this, and this is the important thing. This is the kind of work we'll do. They built a collaboration with 4 medical centers in the United States, led by Columbia and the Foundation's medical director, and it includes Harvard, UCLA, and Northwestern, not too shabby. And they're creating a clear dialogue with CP specialists and general practitioners and women who have disabilities of various kinds. They're creating new pathways to examination and treatment, testing them out for a year, and then implementing these new protocols. And it doesn't stop there. The entire effort is being captured in a book by, I don't know that I've met her more than maybe once or twice, but by a hero of mine, Suzanne Braun-Levine, who served as the very first editor of an essential publication in this country, Ms. Magazine. So I'll give her a hand. So this work will not be seen only in medical centers. It will get out into the broader world, into people who read and people who pay attention to these issues, where all of us can share the message of what is possible, and they can share it today. At the end of this, as you can see, the lifespan of women with CP could potentially be increased. It seems simple, and yet it's very profound. Every week, the magazine that I'm privileged to work at tells stories of various kinds. Political stories, stories of comedy, and of suffering, of people trying to overcome things. This week we have an issue coming out, next week anyway, on what's called world changers. And if anybody is a world changer, it's the person who leads the Cerebral Palsy Foundation. And I'd like to introduce him, and I'm proud to introduce him, the CEO, Richard Ellenson.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. It's pretty spectacular to be in this building. It's pretty spectacular to be in these offices. It's pretty spectacular to be introduced by David. It's pretty spectacular to have my friend Drew Shuda here, publisher of Details magazine, to welcome us into this space. We're here tonight to introduce a new communication campaign that will bring new awareness to the condition of cerebral palsy, as well as bringing new focus and new supports for the research and intervention so critical to people with cerebral palsy, people who every day are relying on us. The world, our foundation exists not simply to advance research, but to advance the way that it gets to people. We work to understand things that go on in seemingly unfathomable places like the brain and simple places like the playground, where we're trying to figure out how to get kids involved in a game of data. The world of research discovery and implementation moves forward most strongly when we have two things: informed professionals and empowered individuals. To create the first, our foundation has built a powerful collaborative network bringing together the best thinkers and institutions in cerebral palsy-related medical and clinical research, as well as novel thinkers in the communication worlds and in the technological world. With our Scientific Advisory Council, headed by Dr. Peter Rosenbaum, who is one of the great thinkers, and with our medical director, Dr. David Roy, who is yet another one, we've defined key moments of impact, which are the critical moments at which interventions can make things happen. And we address the barriers that stand in the way of effective treatments, improved outcomes, and new breakthroughs. These moments of impact occur throughout the lifespan of people with cerebral palsy, and that's where you will find the Cerebral Palsy Foundation. It happens at the moment of birth, where the speed of detection can change every moment of a life that comes after it. And so we're working with Johns Hopkins and Kennedy Krieger to find speedier and more effective medical interventions the moment a child is born. You'll find us at the moments when motor challenges cause children to be excluded from what their friends do. And we're working with Microsoft, UCLA, and USC to turn the Xbox Kinect into a personal gesture translator so kids with movements can play with their friends who can hold a controller. It's an amazing project. We're there at moments when untreated and unidentified pain gets in the way of daily living. And next year we begin a major pain initiative, starting with a pain symposium at the American Academy of Cerebral Palsy and Developmental Medicine. Because you know what? I hear from people who are 22 years old who will tell us, I didn't know I was in pain. This is just what my life was. Amazing. And of course, thanks to David, you heard how we're addressing the moment of impact in basic health care, where women with disabilities have a 3 times higher rate of fatality from breast cancers. Amazing. We will see women living who would not live without this work. To the other point, to empower people with cerebral palsy and their families, we have envisioned a virtual cerebral palsy center, an online environment where one can gain the knowledge one needs prior to showing up for an appointment. With this virtual center, it will be laid out online in a blueprint which people can navigate room by room, a resource-rich environment filled with fact sheets, videos, webinars, and user-friendly materials, where each room is molded by the members of our Scientific Advisory Council to make sure it's usable and wonderful and informative. A parent and a person with cerebral palsy will be able to see what it means to have a proper examination. They'll be able to learn the questions that they need to ask, to find the ways to share issues, so they can start to take more control of their own lives. And there's one other thing that we need. We need a caring and an interested world. A world that acknowledges and addresses issues that result in exclusion and isolation. A world that is willing to bring to light an issue faced by people with cerebral palsy, that their potential may never be understood, let alone acknowledged. When people meet someone, when people meet someone with cerebral palsy, there is so often a hesitation. There's so often an awkward moment that sometimes never ends, because rather than risk saying you're doing something wrong, people choose not to engage. That is the truth. And it's something I know not only as the head of this foundation, but as a father of a very smart, bright, and caring child. This issue is profoundly important and meaningful to him, to me, and to everyone in this room. It's an issue of stigma and insecurity on the part of others. And because of that, we can break down that barrier. We can begin a new conversation. So let me lighten up a bit, stop reading, and let me show a couple of friends of ours who can share with you what this new conversation can look like. Okay, let's take another one. I think we said we're doing innovation and technology.
The Cerebral Palsy Foundation asked if I had any recommendations on starting a conversation with someone who has disabilities. For a simple hello, I'd recommend a nice crisp white, perhaps a Vermentino. For a longer conversation, probably a huge, bold Brunello di Montalcino. The thing to remember is, just say hi.
Next slide is from one of the collaborators who we're lucky enough to work with.
Today, technology has enabled us to connect and communicate with others in new ways. Sometimes fostering a connection is as simple as starting a conversation. The Cerebral Palsy Foundation asks for tips on having conversations with people with disabilities. To me, the easiest way to start is to just say hi.
Next one is from a friend of ours who has cerebral palsy, who works at ESPN. Maybe some of you will recognize him.
The Cerebral Palsy Foundation knows that I have CP, so they asked me if there are ways particularly that I like that people start conversations with me. There are a couple. One is, hey, I've seen some of the games that you do. You do a great job. Another is, wow, you're hot in person. It's simple. Just say hi.
And the last spot I'm going to show is from someone special, our chairman emeritus of our foundation.
Cerebral Palsy Foundation knows my son Jim has CP. So they asked me, is there anything people should be concerned about with talking to somebody with disabilities? Of course not. I talk to anybody about fiscal policy and interest rates. Next time you meet someone with disabilities, don't be reserved. Just say hi.
And of course, the conversation just begins with hi, because there's a much bigger conversation. Because what if you say hi to someone and they don't have the technology to say hi back, or they have dysarthria and you can't be understood? What if you like the person and want to go to lunch, but there's a feeding disorder that's never been treated, or there's a ramp that doesn't allow you into the restaurant? What if that person has pain and movements and you don't know enough to know that that person is excited and interested as opposed to uninterested? Those are the things that we're doing. That's the conversation that we're going to have. I want to thank David. I want to thank Drew, who've opened up this expansive space to us so we can think more expansively. I want to thank people like Lorene Arbus, whose family not only founded United Cerebral Palsy, but our foundation a long time ago. She's been a guiding light to not only the world of disabilities, but frankly to me and my family. There are so many others here who've come from distances. Thank you. Board members, amazing people who work at the foundation. And mostly, I want to thank all of you, because I know that as we share this message tonight, the reaction is not going to be, wow, that's difficult, which it is. The reaction is going to be, wow, we can help change that. And you can, and we will change it. And thank you so very much. And I'd like to bring on Dr. David Roy just to do a quick introduction to some folks. Thanks so much, everyone.
Good evening. I'm David Roy, the CMO, and very proud to be here with you tonight, and glad to take on this new role. As medical director of CPF, it's typically my privilege to share the extraordinary work that we're leading, and typically I'd also share the names of the extraordinarily accomplished individuals in our Scientific Advisory Council, people who truly lead our field forward. However, this evening I'm going to do something better. I'm going to introduce 4 individuals who can attest to the importance of this work far better than I could or any other member of the Scientific Advisory Council, and who will also, I'm sure, be more engaging. Firstly, I'd like to introduce Elena Anadolis, a disabilities rights advocate who has been a key participant in our Transforming Healthcare initiative. Elena, please come forward.
We need to change the expectations people have of those of us living with cerebral palsy. A few weeks ago, my trainer and I were going over my workout program. Exercise is an integral part of my physical and mental well-being. She showed me how much weight I had been currently lifting and told me that we would increase it to 120 pounds. Suddenly, the gym manager poked his head over and loudly whispered, "That's too heavy. She's going to hurt herself." My trainer knew that I wanted to respond and challenge him, but the gym manager didn't expect it. So when I turned my head and looked up, Mr. Gym Manager, he stumbled back and fell. I couldn't resist not responding. "What were you saying about hurting yourself?" And then I held out my cane for him and said, "Grab on, we'll pull you up." When was the last time someone interrupted you to tell you that you couldn't do something? CPF is trying to change that. You know, that if you don't listen to me, I'll walk away. But if people know I can do what I put my mind to, I'll thrive, and others won't trip all over themselves trying to stop me. And frankly, I hope you'll join the conversation. Thank you.
Next, I'd like to introduce Andrew Pilkington. Andrew's not only an accomplished filmmaker, but is also helping craft the Foundation's Just Say Hi message. Andrew.
I'm the only one who will be up here. It plays a lot better. But this campaign it's all about changing the conversation. I just want to tell you guys about from my own personal experience living in New York and going around the country. There's something that a lot of people say to me when I'm out and about doing all the things I do. As any other person who's doing living in New York City. And that's as you all, I get that question everywhere I go. And it seems like a pretty non-threatening question. It seems like people have concern for my well-being. But in reality, that question has a whole different connotation. It implies that someone in my position is incapable of being out in society on their own. And I know people want to make sure I'm not lost or being kidnapped. But I think just that time is a good way to start the conversation. But the second part of the conversation should be, hi, can I help you with something? Is there anything that you need? If I go to a store, I don't want them come back from air, like that on my way. Oh, I don't want the store cut the thing. I need my mom or someone to buy pants for when I get in taxi to go myself. I don't want the cab driver to think I need a chaperone to take me to my job every day. So I think part of the way we need to take the conversation is to help people understand that people with all kinds of disabilities, not just cerebral palsy, can be out and about and productive without having people around the world. And I know that was more than 90 seconds, but I'm Italian, so I thought, thank you guys so much.
Now I'd like to introduce Alila Castillo. She's the founder of CPF's Young Professionals Committee, which raised over $25,000 for CPF just last week. A substantial rise above previous takes, and we're hoping she's going to triple it again next year. She has quite a unique story. Please join us.
I'm here to illustrate the importance of sharing information. I have mild spastic diplegia, which just means that I have stiff leg muscles and experience some spasms in my legs. Spastic diplegia is actually the most common form of cerebral palsy. Doctors can correct me if I'm wrong. But that's not the unique part of my story. The unique part is I didn't know that I had cerebral palsy until November 2012, exactly 3 years ago, when I was 25 years old. In fact, I don't think I ever even heard the term cerebral palsy until 3 years ago. When I was younger, I went to physical therapy on a regular basis. I had Achilles tendon surgery, and so I spent a lot of time in hospitals and with doctors. But again, never heard the term. And so if you're wondering how could that happen, it's totally fine, because so did I. And again, when I was younger, the doctors would tell me, you know, if you don't want to fall, if you don't want to feel uncomfortable, you have to stretch, and you have to wear leg braces, and you have to wear orthotics. But no doctor ever explained to me why. They never explained to me, you know, why my legs are the way they are, and what I should do to take care of myself as I grow older. And so I went out and I searched for the information myself. And now here I am. Like David said, I lead the Young Professionals Committee for the foundation. Go team. Yeah, but I mean, I wish I could say that now that I have the information, I've been able to find the appropriate medical guidance and what I should be doing to treat my cerebral palsy. But unfortunately, that's not the case yet. So far, I've been having trouble finding somebody who can tell me exactly what I should do to treat my muscles as they age. And so, I mean, it sucks. Imagine going to a doctor and having them tell you they don't know how to treat you. It's terrible. And that's why CPF's work is important, and their work will bring change. Thank you.
Thank you, Delilah. That was great. And thank you again for your work with the young professionals. Again, another absolutely sterling performance this week.
Thank you.
Finally, I'd like to introduce Thomas. Thomas is a high school student from Lab High School, who is also an aspiring playwright and actor. So, Tom? Take it away.
I'm Tom Ellingson. And yes, I'm Richard's son. And yes, he made me do this. Well, I'm here. And I'll stay if he buys tickets for the Broadway show, Spring Awakening. You see, I love the theater, and I am a high school actor with big dreams. The reason I love acting is because it's the only time people stare at me for the right reasons. Also, when I'm acting on the stage, people have a script, and they have to talk with me. But in real life, people don't have scripts, and they don't know how to talk to me. We have a script for you for real life. Just say, hi. If you start there, and wait a minute, I can keep the conversation going. Thank you for listening. And by the way, hi.
Fabulous, Thomas, although I think you could have been harder on your father. So, I'd like to have another big hand for all of our speakers before I introduce our next guest. And now, as a very special treat, I'd like to introduce Victor Calisi, New York City's Commissioner of Disabilities.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having me. Thank you for this great night. And Tom, don't feel bad. Your dad made me do it too. That's one thing. There's one thing about knowing Richard. He can never say no. I think that's the campaign we should start with. What do you think? Just say no. But I am here tonight because I am a friend of the foundation. The foundation's doing some great things, but I have to get in a plug or two because I have so many people in front of me. And the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities is working hard every day to make New York City the most accessible city in the world. And we're doing that through opportunities, access, and transportation. Understanding what our transportation system is and how we can make it better. When people are building over a subway station or next to a subway station, how do we get elevators? How do we make our cabs more accessible and making sure we can pay in the back seat, right, Andrew? Making sure that there's opportunities to the workplace, making sure that people with disabilities are involved. The mayor has 2 great initiatives, Vision Zero, and we want to make sure those streets are accessible and safe for people with disabilities. Housing plan, we want to make sure that people with disabilities are able to get housing. Housing is important, it's the soul of who we are. And we need employment, and we need an employment to make things accessible for us, because I may be disabled, but my money isn't, and people want that. So we have to make sure that we're able to work so we can have that capital and be able to own that, have that mortgage, own that car, be able to do everything. So our office is doing that every day. And we're working collaboratively with CPF, because we know together we can be stronger. And that's what's great about the foundation. The real key is for cerebral palsy, and that's great, and we want that to continue. But what they're doing in the clinical space and technology and pushing that forward and making that difference isn't just for people with CP, it's for everybody, and that's what's key for everybody. This campaign is not just for people with CP. Although it says the foundation and we want to be able to raise funds for that, that's great, but it's really about dealing with people with disabilities on a daily basis, and that's what the foundation is to me. I enjoy working with them a lot, and Richard forced me to do a video, which they're going to put up there now.
Yes.
Richard said he wanted to start this other campaign. It was like, well, the Cerebral Palsy Foundation asked me, how do we raise more money? It's like, well, simple, just open your wallets. But anyway, Richard, that's another plug. Maybe.
Thank you.
Should I stop now?
You can stop.
Yeah, but it's fun.
That's been
enjoy. Well, thank you, and the foundation, thank you for all your work, and continue to raise the bar on disability. The Cerebral Palsy Foundation asked me if there are any issues in having a conversation when you're in a wheelchair. Well, looking up every now and then does get tiresome. But hey, that's true for anyone that worked for Mayor de Blasio. It's easy. Just say hi.
So I'm last. I'm all that stands between you and another drink, and canapé and some hopefully good conversations. I'm Lisa Bayard. I'm the chairman of the Cerebral Palsy Foundation. It's such an honor to fill that role and work with Richard and the great board and staff that we have, and now to meet all of you who've come out to support our work tonight. So I want to extend our thanks from the foundation and from the board for your support that you're giving us tonight, and for the support I know you're going to give us in the future. So I'm the person that gets to make the ask. When I joined the board, I really wasn't intending to do it. I have a 13-year-old son who was 10 at the time, who had cerebral palsy, and I asked Tony Dowd, who's one of our board members, to tell me about the work that he was doing with Mr. Volker on the CPIRF, for CPIRF, and next thing I know, I was in the office with Mr. Volker asking me to participate. As a single mom who works full-time with a disabled child and a teenage daughter, I wasn't sure that I really had much to give. But I said, you know what, this is too hard. It's too hard to be a person with CP, and it's too hard to be a parent of a child with CP, and we need to make that better. And if getting involved with this is one way I can contribute to making the world a better place for others like me, I'll do it. So fast forward, here I am, chairman of the board, spending way more time than I ever imagined on this issue, but it fills my heart, and I know it'll fill your hearts. And so what we want to ask you to do is reflect on what you've heard tonight and what you've heard about the foundation and your experience of CP or other disabilities of your own life, and think about ways that you might give of your time, of whatever talent you have, or of a treasure that you have. We're going to hand out some cards that have some suggestions of ways that we'd like to invite all of you to be involved, and so we'd like you to take those with you if you want to hand them to us on your way out, or think about them and send them to us at the foundation. If there's other ways you want to be involved that aren't on the card, it's not just about money. We certainly do need money, and I'd like to encourage you to donate as generously as you can. We also need people to get involved and join our movement to make the world better for people with CP and disabilities. So thank you again for being here tonight and for all of you who contributed. And I think as a closer, we have a compilation of some more of the videos that we pulled together for our Just Say Hi community.
I love a great conversation, and the people at the Cerebral Palsy Foundation asked me, do you have any tips on how to start a chat with someone with disabilities? How about this?
Just say hi.
Just say hi.
Just say hi.
Just say hi.
Next time, just say hi.
Just say hi.
There's no secret. Just say hi.
Just say hi. Just say hi.
Just say hi. Hey, love you, big bro.
Next time, just say hi.
Just say hi.
Hey.
Just say hi.
Just say hi.
Just say hi. Breaking news, just say hi.